Welcome to the Joint STEM Initiative podcast produced by Queen City Robotics Alliance. Now here's your host, Kaiwen Chen.
Hello, this is Kaiwen Chen from Queen City Robotics Alliance. What happens when you invest in the future of STEM? For students like Devika, the impact is life-changing. A high school senior and the engineering captain of FIRST Robotics Team 3506 YETI Robotics. Devika's journey from uncertainty to leadership is a testament to the power of hands-on learning. Today, we dive into how robotic program equips students with technical skills, problem-solving abilities, and the leadership experience. Skills that the future employers, including companies like yours, are searching for. Supporting programs like Queen City Robotics Alliance isn't just about funding a competition. It's about shaping the next generation of engineers, innovators, and industrial leaders. If you're looking to make a meaningful impact on STEM education and workforce development, this conversation will show you why investing in programs like FIRST Robotics is one of the best decisions your company can make. Introduce yourself.
My name is Devika Reni. I'm currently a senior and I am the engineering captain of FIRST Robotics Competition Team 3506, YETI Robotics.
So which school you go to?
I go to Coxwell High School in Concord, North Carolina.
That's pretty far. So you must like the program a lot. So can you tell me how you discovered this program? What make you the first steps? And we know from Concord to the location probably is 40 minutes drive.
Yeah.
What make you not giving up for all these years?
Yeah, so I was first introduced to FIRST by my friend who invited me to join her FTC team. And at the time, I was in around sixth or seventh grade, and I was like, sure, why not? Like, I don't have anything else to do. It sounds cool, and I get to hang out with my friends. Like, might as well join. And honestly, I think that was the best decision I've ever made because I've had so much fun with FTC and now FRC and the entire FIRST program. I've learned a lot. And I think it's the community I've found that makes me want to keep coming back, even with the 40-minute drive.
So what's your first impression? Do you remember way back when?
At first, honestly, once I got there, I was kind of like, I'm not sure if this is for me because it seemed like a lot. Like there was all these tools, like all these fancy like saws and this cool building with incredible different materials, and kids were like running robots and testing things, and I was like, I don't know if I fit in here. But once I started interacting with everybody and meeting my teammates, and we all started becoming friends, I was like, this is definitely my favorite place right now.
What make you think that this is really for me? Do you growing up, people say, hey, staying is engineering is not for girls, that kind of things. What you even thinking about this might not be for you?
Kind of, yeah. I wasn't sure if like I was someone who fit into STEM. Kind of partly because I was a girl and partly also because I was a person of color, or I am a person of color. So I was like, I don't really see many faces in STEM that look like me. So at first I was unsure, but now I don't mind. Like even if there aren't millions of people that look like me, I know for a fact that there are kids that are in elementary school and middle school that I get to meet through FIRST that I can mentor that look like me. And I'm someone that they can look at and say, there is a place for people like me in STEM. So that's something I'm proud of.
Hmm. Is there a like tipping point that make you start thinking about it, this is me?
I think around my sophomore year is when I really started getting super involved with YETI and FRC and everything. And especially because I was given a leadership position. It wasn't a big leadership position, but it was a leadership position. And I was like, okay, it's my responsibility to learn everything I can and make this environment, make these students like the best they can be. And that really was like my tipping point because I was like, even if I don't feel like I belong here, I have to do my best. Like I have to try. And when I started, putting in all that effort and making curriculum and teaching like training sessions to our kids, like and our students, I was like, I can do this. I was like, this isn't that bad.
Do you ever imagine if you did not got introduced to the program, what would you do um, through your through all these years? Just get yourself busy. Obviously, I know you are not 27 years old yet, so there's still a long runway for you. But what you think the difference is making? So, what kind of person you could be now, if there's no such a program, if you have never been introduced to this program?
I think the biggest thing that first and this whole program taught me was it taught me that I can do a lot more than I ever thought I was capable of, especially with FRC and robotics and just balancing, the 20 hours a week, 20 or more hours a week I spend at the zone with all my classes and my family and my work and everything. Learning to balance that and being able to, succeed in these areas and have accomplishments that I'm proud of, like really taught me that I can do things that I set my mind to. So that's something I really took away from this program. And I think if I wasn't in first, I think honestly, I was leaning towards going to med school for a while. So I guess I'd become a doctor and be sad about it. I'm not sure. But I definitely think that I would have not learned to love engineering as much as I did. And now I want to major in computer engineering. So very big change in my career path that can be attributed to this program.
There's nothing wrong to be a doctor.
No, there's nothing wrong with being a doctor, but I think it was something I thought I had to do because it was kind of a cultural, societal expectation of me. Um, and so I kind of was like, if I don't know what to do with my life, might as well just be a doctor. But I think first helped me figure out what I actually truly love doing. And now I'm happy. Like I am I applied to colleges as an engineering major and I'm really excited to like see where I go with that. So
Let's stay on that topic a little bit more. So this is just may as well be a doctor. For a lot of people, it's saying, oh, you must be a very smart girl, so you just think you can be a doctor. I think there's another layer of that is like you talk about culture.
mm,
Is that something you just say everybody should be a doctor from your culture?
I think a lot of times, so with my family, my parents are immigrants and they have always told me like I can have whatever career I want. So they have never put any expectation on me regarding, where I should go to college, like what I should major in. They've really encouraged me to explore what I'm interested in. But in general, a lot of times for many, I want to say many immigrants, like children of immigrants, um, the what we take away from seeing our parents living in this new country and growing up as someone who isn't fully aware of all the customs of, America or anything. We kind of grow up with this thought that we have to pay pay back our parents or at least like give back to them for, making this move to a new country and like starting from scratch over here. And the way we see it is like, oh, I've got to get a career that is respectable, like something that my parents and something that my other people will say, like, wow, like your kid is a lawyer, your kid is a doctor, like a career that gives my parents, like gives our parents something that they can, say. Um, I came to this country to give my kids a better opportunity, and they have succeeded by having this career and being able to make this money. It's kind of the thought that a lot of us kind of grow up with. But I think being my parents never impressed that on me, and I think being exposed to this community where it's like they encourage you above anything else, they encourage you to try everything. Like, you know what I mean? Like I've been part of like so many different sub teams with robotics. Like I've done marketing, I've tried finance, I've tried mechanical, I've tried electrical, I've done programming, like I've tried it all. And no one ever told me I couldn't. They really just told me to keep trying. And I think being able to do that and having that kind of environment really allowed me to break out of that mindset and understand that the best way I can pay my parents' efforts forward is by being happy. So that's kind of how I ended up here.
That's pretty correct. That's pretty awesome thought. And I know that I have been a parent for many, many years. Obviously, my kids are married.
Mhm.
So um similar things and same thing. So I have the same kind of thought as your parents
Yeah.
is be happy is the number one. Then but circle back to you. So basically what I hear you say is you don't really know what you want before the first.
Yeah.
As you grow up, you say you think it's a duty, just give your parent a bragging right. And you look upon the society, whatever I should do, so they can have a bragging right about how smart I am, how wonderful I am as a child. And that's how you decide what you want to do, correct?
Yeah, kind of. In the sense that I think a lot of times it's like for immigrant parents, they define their success by their children's success. Like if their kids are successful, it makes them feel like fulfilled. It's something that they can say, okay, I've accomplished what I wanted to by coming to this country because my child is successful. So I felt like in order to be that successful child, I was like, I guess I'll be a doctor. Like that
I,
was
I
kind of how that happened.
I know that is very, very significant in Asian, right?
Mhm.
And obviously by my appearance, my look, everybody know I'm an Asian too, right? So, and I know that is typical. But among your friends, I don't think that's just Asian thing, right? So, um, even Asian is very obvious, have that trait, but that does not just limit to Asian. So, what's your observation about how your friends try to figure out where they fit, how they want to grow up to be? Do you see a difference between your opportunity and your path now versus the rest of your peers?
I think I think so because even now, a lot of my friends that aren't in first, a lot of times when I ask them like, what are you planning on majoring in for college? Because we're all seniors and that's all we ask each other. A lot of times I'll hear either computer science or I hear business from everybody. And a lot of my friends that are already in college that chose to major in like business or computer science, a lot of times they're either telling me like, oh, like I don't know, like I'm just majoring in it because I felt like I had to, or they end up switching their major because they realize it's something they don't like. So I feel like even now there's still that like, I guess I'll go with a generic major that will make money and figure out everything else after, is kind of the mindset that a lot of the people around me that aren't part of FIRST, I think they have, that's what kind of mindset they have. But with all my friends that are, on my robotics team or on other robotics teams in the FIRST program, I ask them what they want to do and they know. And even if they don't know, they have an idea of what they like or what they don't like. And most of all, they're confident. Like a lot of times when I ask them, like, oh, what do you want to major in? it's like they're never like, oh, like they're never like unsure, you know what I mean? They're never like trying to tell me like I'll figure it out later. A lot of times I get like, I want to major in mechanical engineering, or I want to major in, finance, or I want to major in social marketing related, like personal communication, like stuff like that. Like they know what they want to do because they've had the chance to explore it, which I think a lot of my friends that aren't part of FIRST haven't had the chance to do.
So some of the parents, I know there's a particular, certain family, very, very strong and emphasizing sports to the degree, you probably have a peers, they want to just go to a college sports program, become an athlete. Um, we heard some of the comment is say, being an athlete is wonderful, that nothing wrong. And so I feel like you probably heard that from as a senior high school senior standpoint. You probably also witnessed some of your peers go become this go into the field of sports. Also similar like why you want to become a doctor. It's because that's expectation of the community, right?
Yeah.
And when you hear people talking about, hey, you go to sports, you learn, you be a sportsman, you have a chance to practice, be a leader in the field, have a split second judgment, everything. Do you really think only sports, like physical sports, can do that?
I don't think so. Um I think being on robotics has also helped me develop a lot of those skills. Especially first with its principle of gracious professionalism. It's something that I admire a lot about the program because it teaches all of us that are in this program, like starting from, the elementary school kids that are doing FLL all the way through, being a senior in high school, we're told about this idea of gracious professionalism. And we kind of, as we go through the program, we learn the value of not only not only competing to be the best, but also helping other people be their best. And that's what gracious professionalism means to me, at least, is making sure that even if it's a competition or even if you're against someone in a match, you still help people in any way you can. You help other teams when they have parts that are missing. You help, with teams that don't have a robot cart that need help transporting things. You lend safety glasses to other people. Like it's never about lifting yourself up at the cost of other people. We all try to lift each other up together. And I think that's something that FIRST teaches so well, and it's a really important value to have, which is why I'm so grateful I grew up with this program because I am proud to say that I understand the value of not only, helping myself, but the value of helping other people because I've learned through this program what that means. And I think that's something that you don't really find anywhere else. Even in regular sports, a lot of times it's just competition. Um, and not that there isn't competition in FIRST, but that idea of helping everybody and being kind to everybody and being gracious is something that I don't think any other program, any other sport really gets across as well.
Awesome. Do you have experience? So talk about competition, talk about in the field. So are you on the drive team?
Yeah, I've been our technician for the past 2 seasons. Um, so yeah.
So do you have a any memorable moment that you feel like your team has been pushed to the edge, and what's your experience, how you feel, and what's a lesson learned by looking back?
I think one one very, very stressful moment I can remember was actually 2024 season at our Mecklenburg competition. So last March, here in Charlotte, we had a match where our robot drove under the stage with its elevator extended. So our shooter made like full contact with that metal stage and just crumpled. Like it went from straight plates to like zigzag. And we had like 10 minutes before our next match, and we were like, oh my goodness, because there was no way we were gonna fix the shooter in time. So what we ended up having to do was take it off entirely, um, and like close our circuits like at the top of the elevator. And so we just had a shooterless elevator on our robot. And we and we played the next match like that. But that those 10 minutes when there was like five people in the pits, there was five of us, like we were like, okay, undo this screw, hold these shaft collars, like unplug these wires, take that resistor and move it over here, lift this whole assembly out of the way. Close up everything, zip tie everything down, make sure nothing's gonna like fall out of our frame perimeter. That was really chaotic, and it was very like my heartbeat was very high. And it was a very stressful moment, but I think it was also a very important moment for all of us because it was the first really big kind of disaster of the season, of the competition season we had encountered. And so we were kind of freaking out, but then at the same time, we were like, okay, like we all knew what to do. And even though we were stressed in the moment, like realizing that, okay, like we are on the carpet, like we did not miss a match, we are still playing, and we can still, make something good out of this, whether it's a win or a tie or just an RP for defense points. I don't know. We were like, we can do something with this. And we were like, we can do this. Like we do belong, in the pits. We belong in engineering because we are able to problem solve in ways we didn't ever anticipate doing. I don't think any of us went into competition thinking we'd have to take the shooter off our robot and play a match, but we did it and we were fine and it was successful and we put it back on afterwards. And I think all of us kind of just looked at each other and we were like, wow, that happened, but we did well. And I think that was a very validating moment for a lot of people that in the pit that were kind of unsure about their place. Like solving that problem was something that I think meant a lot to all of us.
Yeah, I have hired a lot of engineers in my career. I would say I would wish some of them have this kind of experience. Okay. With that being said, do you feel like you learned something from that incident like that?
I think I definitely like that experience, like looking back on it is something I kind of take it as an exercise in my own, I want to say, like leadership ability as well as my own like temperament because it was a very stressful situation, and I think it wouldn't be uncommon for a lot of people to, when encountered with that kind of situation where like so much feels like it's falling apart, um, I wouldn't think it's uncommon for people to, cry, like yell, get really agitated about like, oh my God, like start kind of freaking out about like everything that's going on. But I think the fact that I and my fellow teammates, I think the fact that we were able to get through it and like stay calm, there wasn't a lot of yelling. It was more of like, hey, can you give me this? Hey, can you hold this? We need to do this. Like, can you come here and do this? Like, it was a lot of like calm delegation of tasks is what happened. We were like, okay, don't freak out. We were like telling each other, like, breathe, like, it's okay. Like, we were keeping each other in check. And I think looking at where I am now compared to where I was last year, this time last year, I'm definitely way better at handling crises. Like even when things go wrong or like I'm running late for something or I realize I have so much to do and only so little time, like even then I'm able to, keep my head on straight. Like I'm able to be like, okay, there's like, don't freak out, like take a couple of breaths. and make a plan. Like I think that's something I've developed from that situation for sure, which I believe will be very helpful in the future.
If somebody tell you to say, hey, you can learn this from the classroom too, what would you tell this person?
I think um I think there are skills that can be taught in the classroom, like discipline and, you know, time management. But I think when it comes to situations that involve handling your emotions in really stressful situations, or even like making sure you conduct yourself in a respectful way, even when you're faced with so much, so many stressors, I don't think that's something that the classroom really prepares you for because a lot of times being in class is about not exposing yourself to situations that's stressful. There's a lot of if it's something like that starts to build up, it gets de-escalated by a teacher or by an administrator, which isn't a bad thing when you're in a classroom environment, but it does mean that lessons like that don't really pop up in a classroom setting because it's like it's more of a take your notes, like take this test, like I think the closest you get to that kind of situation is a pop quiz, and even then it's not as comparable because a pop quiz tests you on material you already know, whereas these situations challenge you to use your creativity to solve problems and find new applications of concepts you already know. So I don't think it's super comparable, and I don't think that's something you can get in the classroom.
Good answer. And so there is something in product design. So my experience come from OEM. If you want to know more, you want to talk to somebody who has a Fortune 500 company's management experience, just give me a call.
Oh, wow.
That that was so we always try to guide our engineering team and to make a decision, test to fail and test to pass. Okay, let me explain. Test to fail means you test the product until you show a sign of failure or it actually fail, right? So sometimes when you design so good, it doesn't fail. Eventually you have to cut the test. So because it's not failing, it will never fail. So you just run forever. You cannot do that. The management people like me going to say, well, this is way beyond design life. So it's okay. We can shut it down. But when I am working with my supplier, I work with a lot of small company, what they usually like is test to pass. So there's a threshold, they just test to pass, right? They say, my product is good enough, end of story. Now, always talking to them to say, then you would never know your true capability. You don't know how far you can go, right?
Yeah.
So therefore, if you don't know how far you can go, there's another turn, there's another measurement you will never be able to tell me is what is your safety margin of your design. Okay, you can use that for first FRC robot too, right? And because every time when I coach a robotic team, they come to ask me as well. They say, I test a robot twice, and that's good enough. I say, really? You heard that before, right? And you say, if you are a championship team, how many times your robot have to go into competition? Then they start calculating, right?
Yeah.
So in each competition, you will go through what somewhere around 10 to 20 rounds.
Mhm.
So that's 10 to 20 times. And plus practice times two, that's 40 times. Times if you are really a championship team, you go from the two qualifier, you go to state championship, you go to world championship. So that's
Yeah.
2 plus 1 is 4. 4 times 20, that's 80 times. So you think test twice is good enough? Okay.
Yeah.
So a lot of time I want to push my engineer to become a mentor for that reason, to say, try to explain to your student, then you learn faster. Right. So we say put the machine to the stressful situation so you can know your true limits. Now
Mhm.
I'll circle back to my original question is, did FIRST put you in the test to fail type of situation to see how far you can go?
I think so. I I think I want to say yes because actually, um, 2 seasons ago, so 2023, we had what I would call a test to fail situation, um, where it was really testing like us students, not the robot, but it was definitely a test to fail in the sense that it was like, we're going to challenge you to do this, and it's going to be incredibly hard. It's going to take a lot of your skills, and it's probably going to push you further than you've ever been before. And it definitely did. So essentially, what it was normal build season for FRC robots is 6 weeks. But we made a bet with our mentor that we could take one of our wired chassis. It was just a chassis. And we said we could take that and some scraps, and we could, in 18 hours, so starting at 9 in the morning, our deadline was midnight. We were like, in that time frame, we are going to build an entire new robot that's going to score one game piece, from the human player station all the way back. It's going to go there, pick it up, come back, score it. And so, and we're going to be able to do that. And that involved, building the assembly to score in the first place, attaching it to the chassis, wiring it, programming it, and then testing it, like driving it to make sure it actually worked. And this is while normal build season was going on. So we still also had to work on our regular robot. So it was a lot of, okay, while they're assembling our competition robot, like I will wire this arm. And while they program this arm, I'm gonna wire our competition robot, and they're gonna assemble, like the final intake. Like it was kind of like rotating shifts, and there was so much going on that day. And I think we have a video taken at around like 11:30 p.m. of that robot actually scoring a game piece. And it was a very big moment. And it was a very stressful but very rewarding experience, because I think if you had told me before that day, like, you can build a robot in like 18 hours, less than a day, you can build a robot that will play this game. I would have definitely thought that you were making fun of me. And after I did it, I think like all of us, we walked around in like shock for the next week, because we were like, oh my gosh, like we never thought we could do it. Like, sure, we were like sure, we accepted the challenge, but we're teenagers. We were like, I'm gonna prove you wrong. And then we did, and we were like, wow, it's a very happy memory of us being able to do that. I think that was our test to fail moment though.
Awesome. So even that, so in the first program, they push you to the high stress environment. You could fail on, or we say test to fail type of situation, right? Do you still feel this is a very safe environment for you to explore yourself? So you can try. If you fail, you still think this environment is safe. Do you feel that way? And if you do, why you feel that way?
I definitely feel that way. And I think FIRST is one of the first environments where I actually felt that way. Um, like even in school, I would be like very focused on getting good grades, having high marks. Like I never wanted to be wrong. But first, first taught me, like with all my mentors and all my friends and the students and everyone I've really interacted with in this community, everyone wants to help each other. Like everyone just wants you to be the best version of yourself. And it's so empowering, because what that does is it really just makes you excited to fail faster, because then you can keep improving. And that's something I learned through FIRST, because I would be surrounded by all these people, and I'd be like throwing out like an idea, kind of like hesitantly, like, hey, what if we tried this? And they would look at me and they'd be like, do it, like try it out, build a prototype, see if it works. And sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. And even when things didn't work, they were like, okay, let's talk about why it didn't work, and then you can redesign it. And it was that experience of like, sure, something I tried didn't work, but I was never like scolded for it. I was never made to feel bad about it. Everyone around me was just like, you had a good idea. And they were like, how can we make this a success? And that's something that now that I'm on kind of the other end as like a member of leadership for my team and as a senior, I really try to tell that to all the kids on my team. I'm always like, if you don't know how to do something, it's something that I emphasize very strongly is it never hurts to ask. Because that's something I struggled with a lot is asking questions when I didn't know things because I thought I was just supposed to know it already. Um, and FIRST really taught me like it never hurts to ask. And that's what I tell everyone all the time, like all the kids on my team, like no matter what, like I always say like, I don't care if you don't know how to do something, as long as you ask, like no one will ever shame you. And that's something that I believe to be true because it's something that we encourage is in FIRST is trying new things, failing faster so you can be better, asking questions because it's better to have that awkward, that 1 second, 2 second moment of like, hey, I don't actually know how to do this. And then you get a solution as opposed to sitting there for weeks or months, like not knowing what you're doing. So I think that's something that FIRST really taught me is that it's okay to fail. And now it's like, even in school now, it's like, even if I get a grade I'm not happy with, like, I know that it's not about the number, it's about how I feel about it and how I can make it better. So if I do get a score I'm not happy with on a quiz, I'm like, okay, like what do I need to study? Or how do I need to change my note taking or my study habits or how I review for things so that it can be better? I never sit there with that failure because FIRST taught me that even if I fail, like it's about evaluating what you did so you can be better. So I would say yes. FIRST definitely made me feel safe, even when I failed. And now I try to pass that forward to everyone else.
Awesome. When I'm talking to the young ones or when the new ones, I also tell them, say, there's a reason we call it prototype because it's prototype.
Yeah.
It's supposed to try, and if because it's prototype, then they don't always work. Otherwise, it's a product, not a prototype. Right?
Yeah.
That's really awesome. So what you're saying is that you ask a question, you learn, you try, and you try to figure out things, right? So does this program help you to learn more about yourself? If it does, in what way and what you learn about yourself?
I think first, let me see, because I think I've learned a lot from FIRST, and I think I've taken away a lot about who I am as a person. I've really learned over the past couple of years, I've learned who I am in terms of like what kind of leader I am. I've learned that there are different types of leaders, and I've figured out what kind of style works best for me. I've also kind of learned, what my values are in regards to, like whether it's career, whether it's like the people I surround myself with, or how I want to approach life or how I want to look at the world around me. I think FIRST has really um, taught me that because like before I went into this program, I was just I was really learning by observing the people around me, and really just going with, what the people I was surrounded by did. And I think FIRST really helped me develop my own thoughts about, who I want to be as a person, what I enjoy, what I value. Um, so I think that's something I really took away, especially with the leadership style, because I think we think of leaders and we think of um, maybe like the politicians we see or like authority figures in our lives. And I think being part of FIRST taught me that I can be a leader and a friend and combine those to find my own leadership style, if that makes sense. So that's something I'm very glad that I know about myself, especially going into, college and then the workforce. Um, Knowing how I work well with others, like how I approach those interactions, um, learning what works best for me was something that I think was really important that FIRST taught me.
Good. And during my mentoring section with the next generation of leaders, I usually tell them to say, there's a difference between manager and leader.
Mhm.
Manager, you tell people what to do. And so they might like what you tell them to do. They might feel suppressed. But if you always manage, people eventually hate you.
Mhm.
Leader is you tell people where we're going and you show them how the things could happen and help them along the way. And instead of they force to do what you say, they say, I go where you go.
Yeah.
Then you have everybody follow you. Then you got an organization, they just stick together. Um, that's similar to what you say in in your future, your career, you will have a choice to be a manager or be a leader who just happen to have a title as a manager. Then and I think it first teach you something about how you can learn, and you probably learn that already. So you say a lot of good thing about first program, right? What you, how will you feel if QCRA and the YATI and all the rest of robotic team not be able to sustain, just lost from Charlotte? How will that make you feel?
I think it's something I would be incredibly, incredibly saddened by. Um, Especially because I have so many good memories that have come out of this entire organization. And I know I'm still in high school, but even when I think about, my future and like my career and everything, there's never been a thought that I wouldn't give back to these organizations because there's something they have taught me so much about myself. And I think that they're incredibly, incredibly valuable resources for kids of all ages to learn about not only STEM, but learn about, themselves, what they value, who they are as people, what they want to grow up to be. I think they're incredible. Like these organizations are truly a gift to the community of Charlotte. So hearing that they would go would make me very, very, very sad. But hopefully, hopefully that doesn't happen. And hopefully my goal is, obviously when I get older to give back to these kinds of organizations. So hopefully that never happens. But yeah, I think QCRA and everything and FIRST are all resources that this city and this area like really needs because they're so helpful to kids. Like no matter where you are, like FIRST and organizations like QCRA that help support, robotics and STEM education are incredibly valuable. So I think they're very, very important and should be sustained. But yeah.
Based on your own personal experience, what would you tell a parent to say, hey, I think your girl should try?
Um, if anyone ever came up to me and asked me about FIRST or robotics, I will always, always, always tell them to give it a try. Like, whether it's a parent or it's a kid or like a friend that's like, hey, you talk about robotics a lot. Like, what? I will always tell them that FIRST is something they should try because it's changed my life in so many ways. And I'm so grateful that um, by whatever butterfly effect of life that happened, that I was able to, be here in Charlotte as part of this program, I will always be grateful. So I will never tell someone not to try FIRST. I will be the first person to say, go, come down to Charlotte, like, come see what we're about, hang out with our team, like, see what we do. I will always encourage people to try because I love this program and I love telling people about this program.
You say it changed your life. Can you give me a elevator speeches about how it changed your life, or talk about say what your life would be different with or without the program?
Okay, we'll do a little elevator speech. So FIRST really changed my life because it was something that taught me not only to try new things, but it also taught me the importance of, trying, failing, and trying again. That's something that I think is a lesson that is very hard to learn, because it's very easy to just sit with your failure. But FIRST really taught me the value of trying again. And that's why, like, even now, like, when I'm getting college decisions back or I'm getting, grades on tests back, like, no matter what I hear, even if it's something I'm not happy with, like, I know that it's not the end and that there's always a way to solve my problems, which is something that FIRST has really taught me. And FIRST has also taught me that there is a place for everyone in STEM. As hard as it is to see yourself sometimes working in these careers, there's always a place for you. And FIRST has taught me that even if I don't feel like I belong, um, as long as I try, I can succeed and find a place for myself. Um, so I'm very grateful because it's given me self-confidence, it's given me, problem-solving skills, time management skills. It's really taught me a lot of important lessons that I think will serve me well in the future. And I think will serve everyone well if, they get the chance to learn them. So FIRST has changed my life.
Awesome. Uh, did you just born to be able to speak this well? Or you think that something happened in these past years that make you become having the ability to speak well?
Definitely, I was not born this way. I am truly an introvert in every sense of the word. Um, but I think it goes back to FIRST again, because being part of this program means that I don't just build robots. I talk to potential sponsors, I fundraise for money, I call companies, I go to outreach events and I present about our team, what we do, what I've taken away from this program. I go to competitions where there are hundreds of other students just like me, and I get to talk to all of them about, how cool is robotics? And I think being in that environment and being pushed to a place where I had to develop these skills definitely helped me become a much better public speaker. Because freshman year, I could not have spoken to you like this, but I attribute the way I am now with my public speaking and the way I present myself to the experiences I've had in FIRST that have taught me how to do that in a way that I still stay true to myself while being, professional and getting my point across. So
If let's say the following few minutes, I want to record a 2 minutes speech that I will use to present for our potential sponsor to say why they should become our sponsor and keep the place running so we can have this kind of program. how will I impact the community and impact students like you from your perspective?
So you want me to talk about
Tell
how
the sponsor why it is important for them to become our sponsors. How you see their investment in Queen City Robotics Alliance would impact for a student like you.
I think when you choose to invest in organizations like Queen City Robotics and support QCRA, what you're really doing is you're helping support, hundreds of kids that are trying to find themselves and find their place in the world. And you're helping them have access to resources like, STEM education, but also leadership skills, because that's what QCRA and that's what FIRST gives to all its students. It gives them technical skills, of course. I know how to use SolidWorks, I know how to wire, I know how to solder, I know how to program. But I also know how to speak well. I know how to talk to other people. I know how to talk to sponsors. I know how to talk to fundraising. Talk to people in order to fundraise. And I know how to succeed, and I know how to fail, and I know how to try again. And that's what investing in QCRA teaches to every student that walks through the doors, because they're able to be in an environment where they can fail. They're encouraged to fail and they're encouraged to try again. They learn the value of resilience. They learn not to give up. And I think especially as we go into, the future with AI and all these new technologies and the uncertainty of everything in the world around us, I think having that resilience and having that ability to try again and not just sit with failure is something that is so crucial for future generations to learn and develop. So investing in QCRA helps ensure that those kids learn those valuable lessons and hopefully grow up to be incredible people.
That is pretty awesome answer.
Thank you.
This podcast is produced by Queen City Robotics Alliance with the support of Charlotte Area STEM Societies. Queen City Robotics Alliance, also known as QCRA, is a 501c3 nonprofit organization whose mission is to nurture the future workforce by providing practical, hands-on STEM experiences for area youth. QCRA is home for several high school and middle school robotics teams, where students learn how to run their team like running a business. Together, students develop outreach programs to spread STEM knowledge and training to encourage kids from all backgrounds to discover how to reach their full potential in STEM fields. QCRA is sustained by volunteers and sponsors like you, and we invite you to join us to help build a better future for all children in our community. Visit our website at queencityrobotics.org to learn more.